You feel more confident than before, but you understand less. AI gives you clear answers, structured explanations, clean logic, confident wording, so it feels like you understand. But that feeling can be misleading. It's a cognitive shortcut, a bypass of the very process that builds true comprehension. When AI presents information in such a polished, authoritative manner, our brains are wired to accept it readily. We mistake the clarity of the presentation for the depth of our own internal processing. This isn't a flaw in AI. It's a subtle trap for human cognition. We're given the destination without the journey, and we often don't realize what we've missed until we try to navigate on our own. You read something. It makes sense immediately. You nod. You agree. You feel like, I get it. But later, you struggle to explain it, or apply it, or adapt it. Consider a few scenarios. You ask AI to explain a complex coding concept like recursion. The explanation is perfect. You think, aha, I finally understand recursion. But when you sit down to write a recursive function yourself, you freeze. Or perhaps you ask AI to summarize a philosophical text. The summary is concise and captures the essence. You feel enlightened. Yet, in a discussion, you find yourself unable to articulate the nuances or defend the arguments beyond what the summary provided. Another example, learning a new scientific theory. The AI breaks it down into digestible steps, and you feel a surge of confidence. But when faced with a novel problem requiring the application of that theory, you find your understanding is superficial, lacking the flexibility to adapt. This gap between perceived understanding and actual capability is the core of the problem. Understanding isn't just receiving information. It's building it, struggling with it, reconstructing it, making mistakes with it. But AI removes that process. It gives you the final version, without the effort behind it. True understanding is an active, constructive process. It involves grappling with ambiguity, testing hypotheses, making connections to existing knowledge, and often failing and trying again. Think of a child learning to ride a bike. They don't just receive the information. They fall, they wobble, they push off, they adjust. Each struggle refines their motor skills and builds a deeper embodied understanding. Similarly, when we learn, our brains are actively constructing mental models. AI, by providing perfectly formed answers, deprives us of this crucial struggle phase. It hands us the fully assembled bicycle, but we haven't learned to ride it. We haven't built the neural pathways that come from the friction of learning. You're not becoming more knowledgeable. You're becoming more convinced. This is a critical distinction. Knowledge implies a deep, integrated understanding that allows for application, synthesis, and critical evaluation. Conviction, on the other hand, can be a passive acceptance of presented facts, especially when those facts are presented with such authority and clarity. We become convinced by the AI's output, believing we possess the knowledge it has conveyed, without having truly internalized it. This shift is dangerous because it creates an illusion of competence, leading us to overestimate our abilities and potentially make decisions based on a shallow grasp of information. As Richard Feynman said, if you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough. Feynman's insight perfectly encapsulates this challenge: the ability to simplify, to break down complex ideas into their fundamental components, and articulate them clearly to someone else is the ultimate test of understanding. If you've only passively absorbed an AI's explanation, you'll find yourself stumbling when attempting to re-explain it in your own words. Or worse, unable to answer follow-up questions that deviate slightly from the AI's original phrasing. This isn't a failure of your intelligence, but a consequence of bypassing the active construction phase of learning. Clarity creates confidence, but confidence doesn't guarantee understanding, because real understanding comes from friction, confusion, iteration. And when those disappear, the illusion of understanding grows. The human mind seeks clarity and certainty. AI delivers this in spades. This immediate clarity feels good. It boosts our confidence. We feel smart, efficient, and capable. However, this confidence is often built on shaky ground. Genuine understanding is forged in the crucible of intellectual struggle. It's in the moments of confusion when we're forced to reevaluate our assumptions, to try different approaches, and to iterate on our mental models that deep learning occurs. When AI removes these essential elements, the friction of grappling with a problem, the confusion that prompts deeper inquiry, the iteration of trial and error, it inadvertently fosters a superficial confidence that masks a lack of true comprehension. The smoother the path, the less robust the learning. That's why you might notice you feel sure when reading, but unsure when speaking. You rely on explanations but struggle without them. Not because you're less capable, but because you skipped the process. This phenomenon is pervasive. You might confidently read an AI-generated summary of a historical event, feeling fully informed. But then, when asked to discuss the event's causes and consequences in a spontaneous conversation, you find your thoughts disorganized and your arguments weak. Or you might use AI to generate a solution to a technical problem, feeling assured by its correctness. Yet, when a slightly different version of the problem arises, you're lost because you didn't build the foundational understanding of the underlying principles. It's not a reflection of your inherent intelligence or capacity to learn. It's simply the natural outcome of bypassing the active engagement required for deep learning. The process of internalizing, questioning, and synthesizing information is what transforms raw data into usable knowledge. The very design of many AI tools, focused on speed and efficiency, inadvertently encourage this passive consumption. The instant gratification of a quick, clear answer can be addictive, making us less inclined to engage in the slower, more effortful process of genuine learning. Clean explanations feel correct, so you trust them. But the more you rely on them, the less you test your own thinking. In our fast-paced world, efficiency is highly valued. AI delivers answers with unparalleled speed, making us feel productive. Its explanations are often impeccably structured and logically sound, leading us to perceive them as inherently correct. This combination fosters a deep sense of trust. However, this trust can become a crutch. The more we lean on AI for ready-made answers, the less we exercise our own critical faculties. Our intellectual muscles, deprived of rigorous exercise, begin to atrophy. The convenience of AI can subtly erode our capacity for independent thought. You're not just using AI, you're trusting how it makes you feel. This is the crux of the issue. It's not merely about the tool itself, but about our psychological response to it. The feeling of confidence, the sense of immediate understanding, the relief of having a complex problem neatly solved. These emotional and cognitive rewards are powerful. We begin to equate these feelings with actual knowledge, rather than recognizing them as a byproduct of AI's efficiency. This emotional attachment to the feeling of understanding, rather than the understanding itself, is what makes the illusion so potent and so difficult to break. The shift is not avoiding AI, it's changing how you interact with it. Don't stop at understanding something. Test it. Explain it. Rebuild it in your own words. AI is an incredibly powerful tool, and the solution is not to abandon it. Instead, it's to cultivate a more deliberate and active relationship with it. When AI provides an answer or an explanation, don't let that be the end of your learning process. Treat it as a starting point. Actively test the information. Can you apply it to a slightly different scenario? Can you find counterexamples or edge cases? Force yourself to explain it to someone else, or even to an imaginary audience. This act of articulation will quickly reveal gaps in your understanding. Finally, rebuild the concept in your own words, creating your own analogies. your own mental frameworks. This active reconstruction is where true learning happens, transforming AI's output into your own internalized knowledge. Success is not feeling confident quickly. Success is being able to think without assistance. We need to recalibrate our definition of success in the age of AI. The immediate gratification of a quick answer, while satisfying, should not be the ultimate measure. True success lies in the development of our own cognitive independence. It's about cultivating the ability to analyze, synthesize, and innovate, even when AI isn't readily available. It's about building a robust internal framework of knowledge that allows us to navigate complexity, solve novel problems, and generate original insights, rather than simply consuming prepackaged information. Because confidence without understanding is fragile, and most people won't realize it until they need to rely on themselves. This fragile confidence is a ticking time bomb. It holds up well in controlled environments, where the AI is always there to provide the next step. But in real-world situations, when the stakes are high, when the AI might not be accessible, or when the problem requires genuine human ingenuity and adaptability, that illusion shatters. It's in those moments of true reliance on self that the depth of one's understanding is truly tested. Don't wait for that moment to discover the hollowness of passive learning. Subscribe to Daily Reset Lab for more perspective like this.